How I survived mixing 10 songs in 8 hours with no help and still made them sound amazing. About 5 years ago, I worked as an audio engineer at a very high-end recording studio. The studio was impressive. Polished wood panels, dimmable lights creating a perfect atmosphere, racks of vintage analog equipment alongside modern digital tools, and a massive mixing console that looked like it belonged in a spaceship. My main work was recording artists, mixing tracks, and occasionally assisting with mastering. To explain, mixing a song means taking all the separate recordings of instruments, vocals, and other elements, adjusting their volumes, balancing frequencies, and applying effects to make the track sound polished and cohesive. After mixing, a mastering engineer usually finalizes the track to make it ready for release. Mixing and mastering are usually done by different people because each process requires unique skills and tools. One day, I was booked for an 8-hour session to mix some tracks. I like to research my clients beforehand to understand who I would be working with. In this case, I discovered that the producer coming in was highly accomplished and had worked with several well-known artists. I was excited because I had never worked with someone of his caliber before and wanted to be prepared. I asked the studio manager whether I would have an assistant for the session. Assistants help with note-taking, tracking settings, running cables, and sometimes operating equipment. The manager told me the producer requested I work alone. That was unusual, but I accepted it and focused on preparing. I arrived at the studio early and set everything up in advance. When the producer and the band arrived, I began gathering files and reviewing the tracks. That's when I noticed red flags. First, the producer had brought 10 songs to be mixed and mastered in a single 8-hour session. Normally, I could mix 2 to 3 songs in that time, maybe 4 if I worked straight through without breaks. Mixing 10 songs in a day would require rushing and sacrificing quality. Second, he wanted the mixes done on our large analog console rather than the usual computer-based system. Mixing on the console is slower because every adjustment requires manually turning knobs, pushing faders, routing cables, and tracking every setting. Any future edits would require at least 2 to 3 hours to set up the console exactly the same way again. I explained my concerns to the producer. Mixing 10 songs in 8 hours would be extremely difficult and might compromise quality. I could provide rough masters for the songs, but I am not a mastering engineer, so they wouldn't be perfect. Using the console would take more time, and any future edits would require significant extra setup time. The producer was polite, but insisted we proceed on the console anyway. On top of that, I discovered several issues in the recordings, including uneven levels, timing problems, and tracks that needed cleanup. Normally, fixing these problems would require additional time. Despite the challenges, the producer and I worked well together. I used creative techniques to quickly address problems and make the tracks sound good. He seemed impressed and genuinely delighted by the solutions I came up with under pressure. I meticulously documented every adjustment, cable connection, and setting for each song. Normally, an assistant or intern would handle this, but since none were allowed, I did it myself. Somehow I completed all 10 mixes. They sounded good. Not perfect, but good enough given the circumstances. The producer seemed genuinely surprised that the mixes sounded as good as they did, which I took as a compliment. We ended the session on a positive note. A few days later, I was booked for a 2-hour session followed immediately by another 8-hour session. The client was vague about what needed to happen during the 2-hour block, but I agreed. When I arrived, the producer was back, along with a man I quickly realized must be the executive producer, the person funding the project. He arrived in a flashy car, followed by several other expensive cars, bringing investors for his new record label. From the moment he stepped into the studio, he began loudly giving orders, clearly performing for the investors. He instructed me to play the first song for the investors. I explained I could play it, but if they wanted changes, I would need 2 to 3 hours to set everything up properly. This wasn't possible because another client was scheduled to arrive in 2 hours. The executive producer became visibly angry, yelling in front of the investors. Some of the investors even laughed as it became clear the setup couldn't happen instantly. Eventually, they left frustrated and unimpressed. Later, the producer explained the situation. The executive producer had ignored all advice and insisted there be no assistants in the studio because he only wanted high-end music professionals. The producer had complied with these requests, knowing that the situation would be challenging and that problems were likely to occur. Despite all the chaos, I maintained professionalism, completed the work to the best of my ability, and ensured the mixes were delivered. The experience taught me 2 important lessons. Sometimes you must handle impossible requests, even when everyone involved knows they are likely to fail. Professionals often need to navigate challenging situations caused by poor leadership or unrealistic expectations. Eventually, the investors pulled out, and the band even considered legal action for unrelated issues. However, I developed a strong working relationship with the producer, which led to more successful sessions in the future. Looking back, the session was a test of patience, skill, and adaptability. I learned that the biggest challenges are not always technical. They often come from personalities, unrealistic expectations, and leadership decisions. I also learned to anticipate problems, communicate clearly, and remain calm under pressure. Even though the sessions were stressful, they boosted my confidence. I realized that success in high-profile audio work depends not only on technical skill, but also on professionalism, clear communication, and the ability to navigate difficult personalities. In the end, the music was delivered, relationships were strengthened, and I walked away with valuable lessons about managing complex projects in a high-pressure environment. This experience reminded me that preparation, patience, and professionalism are essential in any career, especially in creative industries where talent, ego, and money often collide. It taught me how to remain composed, solve problems creatively, and focus on delivering quality work even under extreme pressure. Most importantly, I learned that navigating professional chaos with composure can build trust, strengthen relationships, and open doors for future opportunities. It's a skill every creative professional needs, and one I continue to rely on in my work today. Even years later, I often think back to those sessions as a defining moment in my career. They taught me more about human behavior behavior, project management, and problem solving than any formal training ever could. They reminded me that sometimes the technical challenge is only half the battle. Handling personalities, expectations, and high stakes is just as important. In the end, despite every challenge, the music was finished. My partnership with the producer grew stronger, and I gained lessons that now guide every project I take on.